What is righteousness for us as believers? The secular definition of righteousness is adherence to certain rules and regulations. But we see that oftentimes the thought of the secular is contradictory to the thought of scriptures. And this is why we have to embellish our thoughts from the lens of scriptures. In accordance to the biblical definition of righteousness, righteousness is about being right with God. And this is basically the fact that righteousness deals first with the fact that you are right with God before you can be able to do the things that are right. So unlike the secular, which is basically, it is the ability for you to do the right things. But when you come to the biblical definition of righteousness, it is basically first about being right with God. Why is this distinction important? This is because the definition of righteousness from the secular perspective is totally different from the definition of righteousness from the biblical perspective. God has a nature of righteousness, and it is on account of this nature that is why God does the right things. So God is not righteous because he primarily does the right things. God is righteous because righteousness is his nature. And we can see this from scripture, from the book of Psalms 89 verse 14. The Bible speaking there says that the throne of God is established on justice and righteousness. That is, the nature of God precedes the action of God. It is God's nature of righteousness that makes God to do the right things, or he cannot but do the right things. So this is very important because it is at variance with the definition or the perspective of righteousness from the secular perspective, where you have to do before you are. But from the perspective of God, it is first about who you are before what you do.